With the WWE commentary situation explained and more, this is Pro Wrestling Central. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Mentioning John Cena's final appearance on SmackDown, WWE announcer Mark Nash wrote this on Instagram. "Thank you, John Cena, for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I've been in the ring to introduce world title fights in boxing, but this is easily one of the most memorable and iconic introductions that I will carry with me forever. The past couple of months having the privilege of introducing the greatest of all time, the Never Seen 17, on Friday Night SmackDown has truly been an honor. Thank you." Speaking about his character in WWE, Roman Reigns said this on Stephanie McMahon's podcast. "I don't like low-hanging fruit. I feel a little more sophisticated than that. I feel like my communication can be a little more intellectual. I don't know. I'm from Georgia Tech. I should be able to, put some stuff together that isn't necessarily the stuff you'd hear on the corner. You know what I mean? So I just always, and your dad was that way too. The way he wrote and the way he thought about writing and being a little more sophisticated and things of that matter. So I don't know. That was just a challenge of mine that I've always taken. Being in a PG product and, no disrespect to anybody, chugging a beer, flipping birds, shove this up your ass, that up your ass, that's not that hard. You know what I mean?" McMahon replied, "It can be hard to stick something up someone's ass. Not that I know from experience." As Bubba the Love Sponge is in a legal battle with Hulk Hogan's son, Nick Hogan, over his upcoming Hulk Hogan documentary, Hulk's daughter Brooke defended Bubba, saying this: "My dad's death is so fresh, and there's so much tension and so many feelings and emotions going on. My family has handled situations one way, which is very religious, very knee-jerk. And I'm not saying that Nick is wrong. I just wish they knew there's another way to go about things. They could have said, 'Hey, can we see the tape? Is it that bad?' The cover makes it look like it's going to be this salacious thing, like Bubba is going to capitalize on my dad's name or put it out just because he died, when really it was something that had been in the works for years. It would have been nice if they realized that. This is the reason I wrote myself off the will, so I wouldn't be part of this drama. All they had to do was ask to see it, and I think they would see that it clears my dad, it clears Bubba, and it really points at the people who did the wrong thing. The people who walked away scot-free when they should have been punished by law. It's a very interesting story, and I think people will take from it a new perspective, and everybody deserves that perspective. From what I saw when I watched it, it lined up with what my father told me, that Bubba didn't leak the tape. So I don't see a reason not to be here to support. This sex tape was not something that Bubba maliciously did to my dad. I know that because my father told me that himself. Unfortunately, public perception and all the legal things, how you look to the public, got in the way of their friendship. Deep down, if they had just had a little conversation and said, 'Hey, I know it wasn't you,' I think they could have carried on their friendship. It really wasn't them against each other. It was someone with bad intentions against both of them. This has been a really nice event to come to because I've had so many people come up to me who love my dad, who love Bubba, who remember the good old days. It's really nice, and in a way, it feels like my father is with me in spirit. My dad was actually Bubba's best man at his wedding, and he always said, 'I would only trust my kids with Bubba.' Even though there's been so much water under the bridge, at the end of the day, he's my Uncle Bubba. I know his heart, and I choose to stand by the truth. I know the truth. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People change. People go through hard things in life. At the end of the day, I love my dad. I love my brother, I love my mother, and I love my Uncle Bubba. He helped our family a ton over the years, and I know he was a true friend of my dad. My brother and I knew him as Uncle Bubba. The truth is, neither my dad or Bubba wanted this tape to get out. It was stolen, and that's what the documentary is about. If anything, it vindicates my dad and shows what a crime this was, and how jacked up the system is that allowed the people that stole it to walk free. What's sad is that it broke their friendship apart, because certain parties wanted to maintain certain public images. As Mr. Kennedy returned to TNA Wrestling, he addressed what could come next for him in the promotion, saying this on his Mic Check podcast: "I don't know. I can't say anything other than, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as anyone is concerned, it was a one-off. It was an opportunity. TNA was here in town, and a bunch of people, a bunch of friends of mine like Nick Nemeth, Matt Hardy, Frankie Kazarian, and Tommy Dreamer put in a word and said, hey, we're in Ken's town. Maybe we should do something with him. Also, Ross Foreman, he runs TNA's meet and greets. We did something because TNA came here 2 weeks ago to do a bunch of media. They reached out to me and wanted the Hardys to come to the academy to do a seminar. Just offered that for free. So seriously, all of it transpired in the last couple of weeks. Frankie reached out to me and said, hey, I have an idea. I'm gonna pitch it. And that was about a week and a half ago at most." Following the success of her OnlyFans account after departing WWE, ELAYNA Black, formerly known as Cora Jade, posted a photo on social media and wrote, "Bought my first house yesterday. Life is good." With the most recent edition of AEW Dynamite garnering only 472,000 viewers, Eric Bischoff had this to say about the future of the show on his 83 Weeks podcast. "It's becoming evident to everybody. So what was it? About a year ago, 8 months ago, I was sitting down and there was this debate about ratings and network deals and what AEW could be doing in the future. And I just sat down with a glass of wine and looked at the last 2 years of ratings for AEW. It's simple math. If I can do it, it's pretty simple math. I had a little $8 calculator and a glass of cheap red wine. I punched in a couple of numbers and saw they were losing an average of about 22 to 23% of their audience every year. Here's the thing, Dave Meltzer, for a guy who studies so much, you should just figure this part out. It's a simple math equation. I took their existing audience, averaged it over 3 or 4 months, and said, okay, that's my baseline of what AEW is currently doing. Then I went back and looked. They'd been losing about 22 or 23% on average. So I just did the simple math, Dave. You don't have to study, you just have to actually do it. And I did the math and thought, oh, this is where they are now. This is where they'll be a year from now. This is where they'll be 3 years from now, unless they reverse the 20% average attrition per year. I project that by the end of their existing contract, they'd be hovering around 300,000 viewers. Back in November, on November 14th, 2024, I said a year from now, AEW would be hovering around 500,000 viewers, and I was absolutely right. With Matt Riddle claiming that AJ Lee got around during her time in WWE, Peter Rosenberg responded to this on Cheap Heat. And then Matt Riddle, another MMA person who showed up to WWE, got immense opportunity, acted like a jackass. And by the way, I never had a problem with Riddle. We had Riddle on the show, had a good conversation with him back in the day, but still carried himself like a jackass. Made a bunch of mistakes, made a bunch of enemies. Now he's still carrying himself like a jackass, saying things that are completely inappropriate. You know, saying disrespectful things about AJ Lee. Just shut up, bro. Come on, man. Like, shut up. Revealing that he recently took a hard fall at an airport, Ted DiBiase noted on his Everybody's Got a Pod podcast, there were some kids there and they were playing around and they were just kids being kids. One of them fell right in front of me and I had no choice. I was hustling. I did a face bump. I mean, I went down. I went down hard, buddy. I had I don't know if you can see it, a black eye. The rest of it, it's my right side. I've had a broken rib before, and if you have a broken rib, you can't breathe. And even now, even though there's nothing broken, I've got a really good bruise, but it's so sore. You talk about the embarrassment, right? The $1 million man, you know, takes a big bump in the Atlanta airport. With PW Insider claiming that Wade Barrett was no longer in WWE's commentary rotation and many speculating that it had to do with his issues with Nikki Bella, Barrett addressed this on X. "I usually ignore BS reports like this, but it's causing needless hate to be spewed towards people I work with. WWE have kindly given me a couple of weeks off for personal time, booked 9 months ago, and then I'm back to business as usual. A complete non-story." The end. Ringside News also said this about Joe Tessitore not being on SmackDown, writing, "Joe Tessitore has been part of the WWE commentary team for a year now, but it was announced he'd be replaced on the SmackDown team. While fans wondered why he was replaced, the reason behind it has been revealed. According to Corey Hayes of BodySlam.net, Joe Tessitore is expected to be away from WWE television for the next few months as he focuses on covering the college football season. It was announced during the September 5th episode of WWE SmackDown that Michael Cole and Corey Graves are now the official commentators for SmackDown, replacing Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. The duo will also handle commentary duties on Raw, so they'll be pulling double duty. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.